How many students have joined? Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Arya. Good morning. Ruchita, good morning. Is the screen of slide is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. If we revise yesterday's part, which we have taken into consideration, so we have seen direct and indirect tax differentiation point. What does direct taxation mean and what does indirect taxation mean? Tell me. Even if with the help of example you explain it, I won't mind, but at least try to explain so that you will build your confidence. And if any corrections are required, I am there to help you out. बोलो डायरेक्ट टैक्सेशन क्या है, इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेशन क्या है, बोलना तो पड़ेगा ना.
Ma'am, direct taxation means we pay the tax direct to government, and indirect tax means we pay the tax to the person who pay the taxes. Like GST is indirect tax, and direct tax means income tax we are filing.
So if we want to correct it slightly, direct taxation with the help of example, income tax, one who earns is held responsible for paying taxation to government, and at the same point return filing is on the shoulder of the person who is earning. Whereas in indirect tax, if we take GST as example, even though as an end user when we buy we are paying GST, but are we paying that to government? We are paying that to mediators, sellers, those who are selling us goods and services. These sellers are held responsible for filing return, right? Here that taxation credit is part taken into consideration. So when we talk about GST, taxation credit means अभी हम क्या बोलते हैं उसको, क्रेडिट. कौन सा क्रेडिट है रे जीएसटी में?
जो हम रिटर्न फाइल करते तब मिलता है.
उस क्रेडिट की टर्मिनोलॉजी क्या है? आप में से बहुत सारे बच्चों ने मुझे जीएसटी का टॉपिक दिया है. जो ट्रांजैक्शन क्रेडिट है वो ट्रांजैक्शन क्रेडिट आप कंसीडर करते हो बीइंग अ मीडिएटर. मैंने थर्ड पार्टी को बेचा, थर्ड पार्टी ने और किसी एंड यूजर को बेचा, मेरा जितना जीएसटी चार्ज बना उससे आगे का जीएसटी चार्ज उसने बनाया. ये सब ट्रांसफरेबल है. पार्टली मैं पे कर रहा हूँ, पार्टली वो मीडिएटर पे कर रहा है. जितनी बड़ी चेन उतने बड़े चेन में एक टैक्सेशन के पार्ट बेयर करने वाले लोग, और इनके जितने भी जीएसटी के कलेक्शन है उसके रिटर्न्स उनको इंडिविजुअली पे भरने पड़ते हैं. इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेशन का यही एक पार्ट है. इवन इफ यू आर पेइंग, burden of return filing is not on your shoulder, it's in the person's shoulder, one who is collecting, right? Then afterwards we started discussion of our basic topic of consideration in this course, that is direct taxation rules. As we know, income supposed to be taken into consideration when we talk about income tax? What does income mean? It is nothing but earning. With which sources? These earnings with the help of what we can say income from salary, or maybe income from house property, or else it may be income from business or profession, or else it may be a capital gain, or else it may be income from other sources. One of the thing we can consider, that is income of agriculture, but agricultural income is exempted. Definition of agricultural income, non-agricultural income are taken into consideration, and as weightage is given but not full weightage of our whole syllabus is on agricultural income, we'll remember this part of theory for writing answers. Then we have person's definition under section 2C of Income Tax Act. Person is what? It is an individual, natural human being, or artificial judicial person. In this group of individual, partnership firm, association of individual, joint ventures, for that matter, if we can say, then joint stock company, Hindu undivided family business, any organization which is registered under Charitable Trust Act, all temples, all NGOs, then local authorities, these all are under the definition of person. All person may not be assessee, but all assessees are person. So for considering that assessee's definition, we consider assessees who is liable to pay tax or any amount under the Income Tax Act. So for that matter, we should know what is assessment, what is assessment of income, what is assessment year, what is previous year. Section 2, subsection 7 gives the definition of assessee. Then these 4 types of assessee we know. One is normal, another one is representative. When it is an artificial entity, a person who is taking care of operations known as trustee, agents for NRIs, or for whom we have given power of attorney, those all human beings are working on our behalf, representing us. So representative assessee, deemed assessee, डीम्ड असेसी, ये टर्मिनोलॉजी है लीगल हेयर के लिए. जो सक्सेसर रहते हैं उनको डीम्ड असेसी का रोल प्ले भी करना पड़ता है इफ एनी डिमाइस हैपेंस. Assessee in default, an employer who deducts TDS from employees' salaries but fails to deposit it with government. In case कोई भी नहीं है मेरा, ऐसी सिचुएशन है और सैलरी में से टीडीएस डिडक्ट कर दिया और मैं कहीं भी नहीं हूँ, लापता हूँ, तो भले ही मैं कहीं नहीं हूँ, रिटर्न फाइल नहीं हो रहा है, बट टीडीएस डिडक्ट करके वो सबमिट करना, इट्स अ प्राइम ड्यूटी ऑफ दैट कंपनी हु हैज डिडक्टेड माय that tax burden from my salary. So assessee in default is the employer who can be assessee previous year, assessment year, gross total income calculations. कुछ है इसमें? रेसिडेंशियल स्टेटस है क्या? कुछ बहुत सारा है ना. रेसिडेंशियल स्टेटस क्या है? रेसिडेंशियल स्टेटस क्यों पढ़ना है? रेसिडेंशियल स्टेटस, see, when we consider residential status, then and then only we can consider tax obligation, assessment, assessee's nature, how we supposed to deal with him or her in accordance with their contribution in a country in terms of their presence, whether they are resident, whether they are non-ordinary resident, whether they are what we can ordinary but not ordinary, ऐसा कुछ है ना terminology, NOR, ROR and NRIs. Resident but not ordinarily, resident ordinarily, and non-resident. Based on that, these conditions which we supposed to take into consideration, conditions बहुत simple है. When we talk about previous year, जिस ईयर में हम असेसमेंट कर रहे हैं उसके पहले वाले ईयर में कितना स्टे होना चाहिए, तो मिनिमम 182 डेज का होना चाहिए. ये कंडीशन फुलफिल हो रही है तो दूसरी कंडीशन देखने की भी जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज दिस इज वन ऑफ द बेसिक कंडीशन. बट इन केस ये कंडीशन फुलफिल नहीं हो रही है, if that condition is not fulfilled, then what is the other condition which has to be fulfilled? That is nothing but the stay in previous year for minimum of 60 days and immediately preceding previous 4 years में आपका स्टे 365 डेज एंड मोर होना चाहिए. पहले तो आप चेक करो कि 182 दिन वो बंदा है या नहीं. इन केस वो रहा तो दूसरी कंडीशन चेक करने की जरूरत नहीं. बट ये कंडीशन वो फुलफिल नहीं कर पा रहा, 6 महीने से कम का ड्यूरेशन उसके स्टे का है इंडिया में, तो आपको कौन सी कंडीशन चेक करनी है? तो दूसरी बेसिक कंडीशन चेक करनी है, उसका स्टे प्रीवियस ईयर में मिनिमम ऑफ 2 मंथ्स होना चाहिए, 60 डेज. To be very specific in terms of days, it is 60 days in previous year and 365 days in immediately preceding previous 4 years. So 5 सालों का हिस्ट्री चेक करना पड़ता है. प्रीवियस ईयर में 60 डेज का और प्रीसीडिंग प्रीवियस ईयर 4 बोला तो वो 4 साल, उसमें 365 डेज का स्टे इफ दैट पर्सन इज हैविंग इन इंडिया, देन ही इज फुलफिलिंग दैट सेकेंड बेसिक कंडीशन. बट इन एडिशनल कंडीशन देर इज नो चॉइस, इट हैज टू बी फुलफिल्ड. उसमें क्या है कंडीशन? he is supposed to be there at least 2 out of 10 preceding previous year and he stay in India for 730 days or more during 7 preceding previous years. तो 730 days का stay means again 2 years का time span है, out of what? Out of 7 preceding previous years. और 2 साल कब? तो 10 years के preceding previous years के हिस्ट्री में चेक करना पड़ता है. If these two additional conditions are fulfilled and one of the basic condition is fulfilled, he is termed as ordinary resident, ordinarily residence. So इसका क्या स्कोप है? तो ये 99% चार्जेबल बनता है. इनकम जो उसने यहाँ से कमाया उस पे टैक्स लायबिलिटी पे करने के लिए, या ये बाहर गया और वहां भी कमाया और इंडिया में आया उस पर टैक्स लायबिलिटी पे करने के लिए. कल हम लोगों ने वो चार्ट भी देखा था. दिस इज दैट चार्ट ऑल अबाउट. एनी डाउट प्लीज गो थ्रू. कुछ है प्रॉब्लम? पढ़ लो, अच्छे से पढ़ लो. कंडीशंस भी याद रखना है. 60 डेज इन प्रीवियस ईयर, 365 डेज, 180 डेज. पहली कंडीशन है 180 डेज एंड मोर का 182 डेज. दूसरी कंडीशन है 60 डेज इन प्रीवियस ईयर, 365 डेज इन प्रीसीडिंग 4 प्रीवियस ईयर्स. देन एडिशनल कंडीशन है 2 आउट ऑफ 10 एंड 730 आउट ऑफ 7 प्रीसीडिंग प्रीवियस ईयर्स। कुछ प्रॉब्लम रहेगा तो बोल दो, ये कंडीशंस आपको याद रखनी है। इसमें एक थर्ड एडिशनल कंडीशन है जो 2021 के बाद कंसीडर कर रहे हैं, बट एटलीस्ट ट्राई एंड रिमेम्बर दीज 4। बेसिक में कोई भी एक याद रखना है, एंड यू हैव टू रिमेम्बर out of additional condition both the conditions supposed to be fulfilled for ordinary residents, for ordinary residents. Next is what? Exemption under section 10. What does it mean, exemption under section 10? बोलो, पढ़ लो अच्छे से, क्योंकि ये पार्ट मैंने करा है, नहीं करा ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है। Agricultural income is exempted, तो fully exempt from tax, subject to partial integration provisions where applicable. What does it mean? House rent allowance, ये याद रखना कि जब भी आप सैलरी इनकम कंसीडर करोगे, सैलरी का मीनिंग क्या होता है बोलो मुझे एक बार। What is the meaning of salary? Salary is nothing but, for salary, Income Tax Act is talking about the section 17 subsection 1 in 1961 Act of Income Tax. Salary means any remuneration, consideration received by employee from employer for his or her services which he or she is rendering. Under which contract? Under the contract of employment. Salary includes both monetary and non-monetary benefits received by employee from employer. Section 17 is very clear for calculation of salary. In this, one of the component is HRA. So house rent allowance is a part of your salary. Why? Because this is received in terms of money to fulfill your requirement of shelter. Basic requirement है ये। आपको क्या बोलता है कि एग्जम्पशन मिलेगा? एग्जम्पशन अंडर सेक्शन 10 सबसेक्शन 13A, which things are taken into consideration for the purpose of exemption, is nothing but list of these 3 which are mentioned on your screen. First condition is actual HRA received or rent paid over 10% of salary. Here salary we have to define when we are considering this particular factor for calculation. इसका वर्किंग नोट करना पड़ता है हम जब प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हैं तब। वर्किंग नोट में आपको डिफाइन करना पड़ेगा, फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ कैलकुलेशन ऑफ HRA, सैलरी इज व्हाट? सैलरी इज नथिंग बट बेसिक प्लस DA ऑफ रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट। विदाउट रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट DA दिया होगा और बोला होगा 40% फॉर रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट, 60% is not for applicable for retirement benefit. So that amount has to be excluded from calculation. जितना एप्लीकेबल है रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट के लिए उतना ही आपको डीए कंसीडर करना है इस डेफिनेशन को कंसीडर करते टाइम. If commission is given lump sum, then that has to be neglected. If commission is expressed in terms of turnover percentage, then and then only it is the part of the definition of salary. 3 component रहेंगे definition of salary में, basic, DA of retirement and commission in terms of percentage of sales. तो ये सैलरी की डेफिनेशन हो गई. रेंट पेड माइनस 10% ऑफ सैलरी. एक्चुअल रेंट पे कितना किया है उसमें से सैलरी जो आपकी पूरे साल की निकल रही है उसका 10% कंसीडर करके इनकेस जो डिफरेंस पॉजिटिव आ रहा है वो आपको कंसीडर करना है कंपैरिजन के लिए. Once it is done, whether your matter of calculation is over, no. If it is metro city, which metro cities, अपकमिंग मेट्रो, ये सब अमका दमका फलाना, ये कुछ याद नहीं रखना है. ओनली 4 मेट्रो सिटीज, मुंबई, दिल्ली, कोलकाता एंड चेन्नई. फॉर दीज 4 मेट्रो सिटीज इट इज 50% ऑफ सैलरी. पुणे, बेंगलोर, हैदराबाद, ये दीज आर नॉन मेट्रो सिटीज even today. So for these rest of the cities, it is 40% of salary. So once we are having these 3 figures with us, actual HRA received, rent paid over 10% of salary, 50% or 40% of salary, whichever is minimum is applicable for a deduction from HRA amount which he is receiving or she is receiving in terms of salary. अभी मान लो कि रेंट पेड ओवर 10% ऑफ सैलरी, 50% ऑफ सैलरी, ये सब एक्चुअल एचआरए रिसीव से ज्यादा है. तो जितना एचआरए मिला है वो पूरा का पूरा अमाउंट एग्जम्पशन में जाएगा. या अदर 2 फैक्टर में से कोई एक फैक्टर कैलकुलेशन के बाद कम आ रहा है तो जितना पोर्शन कम है वो पोर्शन जो भी अमाउंट कम होगा दैट मिनिमम अमाउंट विल बी डिडक्टेड from HRA received and balance is taxable amount under the head salary. Scholarship for education. Scholarships granted to meet cost of education are fully exempted under section 10 subsection 16. Government scholarships, university scholarships, research fellowships used for educational purposes, fully exempted. I know 2 students of mine have gone for further education even after MBA. One is doing her master's in Chinese language. She is receiving Government of India's scholarship for learning that Chinese language. Mukta Kengar is her name. Whatever amount she is receiving from Indian government is tax free. At the same time, another student went in Germany for MS. He went there on scholarship only. So whatever amount he is receiving is fully exempted. I'm talking about these students those who went outside for further studies, for doing certain development, and government has granted them. There are few universities and what we can say government scholarship schemes which are supporting the cost of education in India also. These full amounts are exempted. Candidates, those who are receiving junior research fellowship, which is a substantial amount. Candidates, those who are doing their PhD and receiving against that PhD certain substantial amount, which is fully exempted. So, Section 10, subsection 16 of Indian Income Tax Act is talking about exemption of scholarships received for to meet cost of education. Now, this is important point of debate many a times. What about MLAs and MPs if they are receiving perquisites and allowances in tangible sum? So again, as they are in rule, they are governing, they are guiding population, representative of that particular population, being a representative of that particular population. whatever sum they are receiving is exempted under section 10 subsection 17. Nowadays people are debating on this particular part, but DA, even if it is a substantial amount exempted, constituency allowances is exempted, other specific allowance, development allowance, if they are receiving, it is fully exempted. So this is the list. Other important exemption under section 10. 10 लिखा नहीं है, 1 लिखा है, सॉरी फॉर दैट मिस्टेक, या क्रॉप करते वक्त वो नहीं आया. एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम ग्रेचुटी सब्जेक्ट टू कंडीशंस. ग्रेचुटी के कैलकुलेशंस कोई बोल पाएगा मुझे? हाउ टू कैलकुलेट ग्रेचुटी? एनीबडी? What is the attendance today right now in the lecture? Praveen says all mentees are attending and my half mentees are defaulter. See how much impact I am creating on the minds of students. They are not under my control, right? Likewise, I'll receive the comment. याद रखना, प्रोजेक्ट्स चेक इसी बेस पे होने वाले हैं जिस बेस पे आपका अटेंडेंस है. इफ नेक्स्ट टाइम you're coming, then I will check your attendance. If you are attending, then and then only I am going to check your projects. There are very less students right now in the session, only 27 students. Why to take lecture out of 55 students, 27 students, not even 50% attendance even in online lecture? Why to take? If you feel that this is boring, then I will stop taking. Gratuity का calculation बोलो. See, when person he feels that he is going to retire, if he is going to get what we can say, he is going to leave that particular organization, he is doing planning, he is doing care, taking care just for the purpose of a gratuity calculation also, because gratuity is calculated on average of last 10 months salary. जितना लास्ट के आपके उस कंपनी के 10 मंथ्स का सैलरी अच्छा खासा निकलेगा, LWPs कम होंगे, आपके कहीं भी कटिंग्स ज्यादा नहीं हुए होंगे, तो वो आपका 10 मंथ्स का सैलरी एवरेज में कंसिडर किया जाएगा. अभी इसका कैलकुलेशन क्या है? ग्रेचुटी इज इक्वल टू हाफ मंथ सैलरी multiplied by average of 10 months salary multiplied by number of years served. If I have served 30 years, if I am getting average nearly 1 lakh rupees, so 30 years into 1 lakh into what? 15 days salary. 15 days salary when I'm using 15 divided by 26 will be taken into consideration, because 4 days at least holiday we have. So even though it is saying half month salary, it is not exactly half, it is 15 divided by 26, more than half. So whatever calculations will be there, more than 30 lakhs, that amount will come. ग्रेचुटी. और फिर इस ग्रेचुटी के कैलकुलेशन में कुछ सब्जेक्ट टू कंडीशंस हैं, वो एग्जाम्शन में जाता है. कम्यूटेड पेंशन, लीव इनकैशमेंट, sometimes leave is in cash, paid in terms of money. House rent allowance, special allowance, educational scholarship, MPs and MLAs allowances, income from certain scheduled tribe members in specific area or specified area. Again, the same thing which we will be discussing Now, last part of our first chapter comes, that is the old regime, old tax regime and new tax regime. When a person is getting income and he has been asked to pay income tax, then while filing return, he has options available. One of the option is nothing but choosing old tax regime and choosing new tax regime. By default, if you have not selected, you will go with new tax regimes calculation. But old are also favorite for the person who is investing and trying to save tax with the traditional method. कंपैरिजन करें तो कुछ 17-18 लाख तक तो ओल्ड से कैलकुलेशन करो तो भी टैक्स लायबिलिटी ज्यादा है और न्यू से करो तो भी टैक्स लायबिलिटी कम है. जितना ज्यादा इनकम है फिर ओल्ड प्रेफरेंस में जाता है, कम इनकम में न्यू प्रेफरेंस में आता है. And right now, as we know, inflation is so high in India. Even government have accepted for survival and for meeting day-to-day requirement, we require certain sum, and that is why up to 12 lakhs 75,000 being a salaried person, even if you earn, there is no tax. मिनिमम उतना आपका अर्निंग कैपेसिटी होना चाहिए. अभी आप सोचोगे हम तो अभी एमबीए कर रहे हैं, इतना नहीं भी हो पाया. आप स्टार्ट तो करो, वहां तक तो पहुंच ही जाओगे. इफ यू स्टार्ट यू विल रीच. बिफोर स्टार्ट you will not think of reaching on a destination. So for getting high packages you have to work hard. This you have to remember, up to 2,50,000 if age is below 60, there is no tax. 2.5 to 5% 12,500, 5 to 10 20%, and about 10 30%. इनकम फ्रॉम सैलरी, ये बहुत ही शॉर्टकट में दिया हुआ फॉर्मेट है जहां हम डायरेक्ट बात करते हैं ग्रॉस सैलरी की, एचआरए एग्जम्पशन की, स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन की और इनकम फ्रॉम सैलरी की. ओल्ड स्लैब में, ओल्ड रिजीम में हम स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन 50,000 कंसीडर करते हैं. वी कंसीडर only 50,000 for deduction purpose. Remaining amount is considered as income from salary after this standard deduction. You may have professional tax into deduction, that has to be mentioned. And if that person is a government employee, then entertainment allowance is also deductible portion from salary. But if he or she is not a government employee, then that is not under deduction. HRA exemption बोला है, but under section 10 subsection 13A. ये बहुत ही सिंपलेस्ट फॉर्मेट है. ऐसे फॉर्मेट रहेंगे तो आपको कैलकुलेशन करना इजी जाएगा. बट इतना से इजी हमें न्यूमेरिकल्स डायरेक्ट टैक्सेशन में हमारे कैलकुलेशंस के लिए नहीं आते हैं. You will be getting problems like motor valuation part supposed to be done at your end. In motor car valuation, there we have to find out who is the owner, for which purpose it is used, whether it is used for personal purposes, whether it is used for both the purposes, whether it is fully used for official purposes, who is maintaining running and maintenance cost, who is bearing that cost, whether it is employer, whether it is employee, then whether chauffeur or the driver is provided or not. If chauffeur is provided, how to calculate per month. Likewise, many conditions. If car is owned by the employee and used for official purpose, nothing to do with the perquisite. But if car is owned by that employee and used for both the purposes, then calculations may come. If car is owned by the employer and used for only personal, then perquisite. Used for personal and official, then perquisite. Only for office, then need not to consider that as a perquisite. So likewise, there are certain calculations. When we are receiving HRA, we may not get house accommodation, but in case of HRA is not given, but house accommodation is given, then whatever expenses are borne by the employer for providing house accommodation, again for that valuation is required. So that part will be there in terms of salary calculation. If DA is given, fully taxable. If HRA is given, partly taxable. If conveyance allowance is given, whatever is utilized for official purpose will be under deduction, but rest of the amount is taxable. So medical expenditure, if it is reimbursed, medical allowance is given, fully taxable. Likewise, it will be there. Salary is not just mere salary, it is many a times basic plus DA plus bonus plus commission plus taxable allowances plus taxable perquisite. And sometimes just talking about salary is not important. We may get pension, we may get gratuity, but it is again a consideration under salaries definition. So कुछ भी मिला है एम्प्लॉयर से एम्प्लॉय को for serving the organization, for working for the organization, that is known as salary. Now second income is the income from house property. जनरली फर्स्ट चैप्टर में आपको ये सबके ओवरव्यूज दिए जाते हैं, इसलिए ये स्लाइड इतने शॉर्ट में है. Annual value, determination of annual value is only the critical step. If you are perfect on this, then you need not to worry. Then which are the terms which you have to think when you do the house property valuation? Gross annual value calculation is one, that is you have to go through what is municipal value and what is fair rental value of the property of that's house property. Whatever is maximum, that has to be compared with standard rent of that property. Then whatever comes minimum of these two values supposed to be compared with actual rent received. Whatever is maximum is known as gross annual value. What are the terminologies which I have used right now in calculation of gross annual value of property? One is municipal valuation, another one is fair rental value, third one is standard rent, and fourth one is actual rent received. The local authority is valuing your property, and based on that your property tax is calculated. That's the reason municipal valuation plays important role. In that particular local area, what is the fair rental value people are affording and ready to pay? That has to be ascertained. Whatever is maximum supposed to compared with standard rent. उस एरिया में स्टैंडर्ड रेंट का रेट क्या चल रहा है कंसीडर करो और कंपेयर करो. ये दोनों में अभी वापस कौन मिनिमम है उसका कंपैरिजन एक्चुअल में जो फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स टेनेंट और ओनर के बीच में लेन देन के होते हैं उससे कंपेयर करो. दैट इज नथिंग बट एक्चुअल रेंट रिसीव्ड. So after comparison of that max minimax amount, you are getting gross annual value, which is required to consider income from house property. That gross annual value minus municipal taxes. When we are saying municipal taxes are deductible, then which municipal taxes are deductible? Only paid municipal taxes are deductible. After deduction of these municipal taxes, whatever amount is left, that is known as net annual value. That net annual value again has certain deductions under section 24 of Income Tax Act, known as first deduction, standard deduction. Standard deduction is 30% of net annual value. If property is laid out, then you are getting certain rent amount, or deemed to be laid out, you are getting certain amount, and your net annual value is a substantial figure. From that amount, you are deducting 30% as a standard deduction. But if it is self-occupied house property, then net annual value comes to 0. So standard deduction you cannot do. Only you can deduct, that is the interest amount which you are paying for house construction loan, and up to what you can claim the amount which is paid in terms of interest or rupees 2 lakhs, whichever is minimum. So that will be only deduction in case of self-occupied house property, and your income is nothing but loss on हाउस प्रॉपर्टी, क्योंकि इनकम ही निगेटिव है, इंटरेस्ट ही पे किया है, तो वहां वो निगेटिव आएगा. बट लेट आउट हाउस प्रॉपर्टी में आपके नेट एनुअल वैल्यू से 30% जाएगा, इंटरेस्ट अमाउंट जाएगा, जो नेट इफेक्ट है, whether it is positive or negative, it will be reflected as income from house property. If it is plus, that is profit. If it is minus, that is nothing but loss against house property investment. Got it? This is second income source which an individual has when his or her income is taken into consideration for calculation. Any doubt? Today we are stopping here, as few things are aligned after this. So before 15 minutes, we are ending today's session. Have a good day. I'll catch you on next lecture. When it is scheduled, that time I'll be there. And for finance students, basically my ment is, it's today's reminder that you supposed to send me OJT diaries photo on mail. If you fall short, I will not talk tomorrow in our online meeting with you, and I will not make you pray. I will not mark your attendance for OJT interaction. You all supposed to mail me your OJT diaries photo. Even if you write 2 lines, write it and send me. It's your duty. Those who have not received final sanction of topic, like Sakshi has not received, Adesh has not received yet, then Sanjana Singh, or else what we can say Tanaya Tandare, Shinde, they will be getting it by tomorrow. Few students, they supposed to revise their topic and they supposed to submit it. Sanjana, you have to revise, you have to submit. Even that is applicable for few other students, those whose name I have taken right now. Manju. Today we are stopping here. I'll catch you later on.
on online sessions. And tomorrow we are going to have a online meeting for OJT,